It seems like you meet everybody.
Mr. Jala, you're meeting everybody, probably by accident. Mr. Jala, you need a mic.
So, Mr. Jala, we're not hearing you. It seems like your mic is muted.
Yeah, I did, because we live now. We live. The music is playing. So we will the music get through.
We see the light. Great luck.
Mr. Jala, we're not hearing the music. I keep muted. Muted.
Sick and tired of the ism, schism, game, dying to go to heaven in Jesus' name, Lord. We know when we understand. My God is a living man. You can't do something sometimes, but you can't fool all the people all the time. Now we see the light. We gonna stand up for right. Yeah, so you better get up, stand up, it's the morning. Get up, stand up for your right. Stand up, get up, stand up. Don't give up the fight. Don't give up, get up, stand up, get up, stand up, stand up for your right. Get up, stand up, get up, stand up. Don't give up the fight. Get up, get up, stand up. Ladies and gentlemen, we want to say welcome once again to the Internet Citizen of Liberia Network program, Citizen Talk Show, one of the diaspora thought-provoking intellectual discussion that has to focus on the well-being of our people. And we are here to discuss the problems of Liberia and the way forward. Today's discussion will be focusing on the Liberian legislature. We're going to have a spotlight discussion on the Liberian legislature, on their role in our developmental effort, of our country. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are glad to welcome you all. If you are tuning into this show, we encourage you to share this live podcast on your page so that we can have our diaspora community being a part of the discussion. And as usual, our hosts are all ready, and they are in high spirit to discuss in depth, about our Liberians' problem and how our legislatures are impacting our Liberian society. We have a couple of concerns about the Liberian legislature, how they are working. And we did this because we have realized that if the legislature are really doing their job, what they ought to do, I will start by saying some of the issues we are concerned about is these people are passing laws and they are not living up to the laws. Take for instance, you have the Freedom of Information Act that was passed by the Liberian legislature. This Freedom of Information Act entails that the government of Liberia must be in the position to make, and that includes the provision of information on their website. Up to present, we are of the understanding that legislators don't have a website. How do we follow up on the productivity of each member of the House of Representatives. Now we talk about the upper house, the House of Senate. And some of these things will show to the Liberian people that they have something to hide. If they don't have anything to hide, why is it that they can't have a website that Liberian people will go to understand the work they do that is impacting growth and development in the country? More to that, we are understanding that the Liberian legislation, the Liberian people voted them not to hide things from them. The Liberian people voted them for them to tell them it's helping the country to move forward. If we have a legislature that we have something to hide, we have something like executive session, secret session. In recent time, we saw the central bank government and a lawmaker, Honorable Akara Gray, suggested that the session was having a threat to national security, and as such, it should be held in executive forum. For me, in my mind, that was a disservice to the Liberian people. Our people deserve better. Our people voted them so that they will let them to know exactly the work they do. People well-being, that was completely a disservice to the Liberian people. And I think our people would need to pay attention in the House of Representatives and the House of Senate. Because if we make a change from that level, I'm of the strongest possible conviction that our country will be on the path of growth and development. So, in order for us to have voting, is number one, to vote the content of the character of these individuals in the Liberian legislature. Because from our understanding, our people, their gullibility has given you guys the opportunity to always lie to them, come time over time, to keep telling them, oh, give me another time when I able to do this because of this, because of that. Now we can and continue to allow these people to take advantage of the gullibility of our people and keep perpetuating and selling power and keep them in poverty as well. These platforms are intended to expose their traits, because their trait is to continue to keep people ignorant. You understand? As much as the people remain ignorant, that's how they will continue to perpetuate and stay in power. So what we're saying now, the legislature should be the system. Our people need to be open. Our people need to understand that voting people who will not seek your interest will be detrimental to the future of your case. These guys are there passing laws for them to buy big cars for themselves, for them to be having 4 or 5 phones in their hand, sitting in the chamber, sleeping on Facebook, and not doing like a job. I think how productive they are individually, what they have done for their community, what they have done for their people. Not just doing election time, they bring rest, they bring money to convince our people. Liberian people, we need to desist from this kind of thing. We need to desist from putting people into office because they get our money. Each time we take this decision, what happens is that it impacts generation. It's about time now that we vote for people who we know have the interest of in human beings who love people, not just people who want to show up, not just people who want to feel better than other people. We need to desist from these things. These guys in the house are not helping the Liberian people. I have some information that there are some of our police in the house there who told some of us that, look, man, we can't be hard on the government, we can't be hard on the executive because the president will be mad with us, and if the president may not support our developmental effort in our district. This shouldn't be the case. No legislator is responsible to build road. No legislator is responsible to build hospital. They have an oversight responsibility. They're supposed to ensure that the executive that has the responsibility to spend the resources properly. They shouldn't be concerned about pleasing the executive. They shouldn't be concerned about making the president feel good. That's not their job. That's not the reason why people put it into office. This is wrong. And people will keep voting these kind of people who are not independent. This is wrong. And so today we're going to make sure we will be entertaining a phone call. I think Mr. Gray will put the number in shortly for those who want to call. You can call and make your concern heard. There's a diaspora program. We also comment. You can place your comment as well. But this is deplorable. This is taking our country backward, and the change that our country yearns for must start with the Liberian legislature. So I would like to bring in our co-host, Mr. Sakor, who will follow the elaborate on his experience about the Liberian legislature. Mr. Sakor, you're welcome.
Thank you. Thanks, Jala. So I want to recognize James Collier. He posted on there. They even refuse to use a voting machine donated by USAID. I think that was to your point that we don't know what they're doing, because when they vote, if they use this machine, it's able to keep track of who's voting, yay or nay on what issues, and that could leave a record. We've had them vote a couple of times where you don't know who voted for what. They just say, 20% voted in favor of, and the other people voted against or whatsoever. And we don't know who's voting for what. How do I know that my representative or lawmaker is voting on my behalf if I don't know who's voting for what issue? But that's a good point. A lot of times when I talk about, I like backgrounds. So when we talk about the legislature, anywhere in a democracy, for me, when you look at the democratic setup, the most powerful, I get it, we say balance of power, but the most powerful branch of government, in my opinion, is the legislative branch of government. The legislative branch of government, if you look at like the seesaw we used to ride on children, it got a little pendulum in the middle, and you sit on one side, your friend sit on one side, you go up and down. If the democratic seesaw has to balance, the legislature is that pendulum that must keep the balance between the executive and the legislative branch of government. And the Constitution is set up the way it is set up for a reason. So we are discussing the legislature today. I want to talk about the Constitution a little bit. The Constitution is set up when you go for the table of contents, our 1983 Constitution. The first one is preamble. Then it goes to the structure of the state, all counties, that kind of stuff. Then it goes to the general principles of national policy. It goes down to fundamental rights. After fundamental rights, it discusses citizenship. After citizenship, when it gets into governing, the first branch of government it talks about is the legislature. It says on how somebody can become a legislature, what the legislature can do and what they cannot do. When I had conversations on Facebook about the legislature and the mere power that they have, I've had folks say, well, in Liberia, the setup is such that the executive has the most power. And I think that's misleading. The reason why we think the way we think is because people say, oh, the president has the most power because the Constitution say he can appoint at his will and pleasure. I get it, that the president can appoint at his will and pleasure, but one of the responsibilities of the legislature as oversight, because the first thing first is the guys have to come through. When the president prefers somebody, that person has to go before that house to get confirmed. So we had the various committees that I think they call the plenary committee or whatever committee that the guys go to for confirmation. After confirming an individual, as he goes to work, we still have Senate committees on the various sectors of the republic. So the guys, there is a committee on agriculture, there is a committee on finance, and the rest of it. What that means is even after somebody has been confirmed and go to work, the Senate can still summon an executive official and have him answer questions as it pertains to how he is implementing the role of whatever position he holds. The Senate and the legislature, and again, is the only branch of government that can call the president to question. They say all bills of impeachment begins in the House of Representatives. So the legislature can impeach an executive member as well as a judicial member. I'm not too clear on whether they are able to impeach one of their own, but I'm thinking if I can impeach somebody from different branches of government, why wouldn't I be able to impeach one of my own? But I don't want to be held on that. I'm just saying. I know that there are provisions where an elected legislature can be removed from office, but it is nothing that one branch or the other of government, one of the other branches can do about that particular one. It has to be something that comes from the people by way of petition or referendum or whatever you call them. I'm saying all this to mean that if a country, a democratic country, must experience two balance of power, it is that legislative branch that through holding the executive branch, holding them accountable, can empower the judiciary branch to come on par with the three branches of government. If I call a man and say, hey, this guy was supposed to be a finance ministry, this thing happened or that thing happened, I'm not satisfied, and I think a law has been broken here, then it goes to the judiciary. I say the guy broke the law, then the judiciary branch of government, they are empowered now to go after the man and let him face the full weight of the law. In our own setting, we don't see that happening. There have been few cases where we know for a fact that something that was set up by the state and went through all of the necessary, if it's fact finding and auditing and everything, gets back to the house and they do nothing about it. One such instance was our TRC, the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. We say, oh, Liberia is a country just out of war, so instead of going to the war crime court, let us do the TRC. Let people come and make their grievances heard. And after we do such, what we want is whatever recommendations come from the TRC should be presented to the Senate, to the legislature, so that, those things can be enforced. We saw that almost everything that came from the TRC that went to the legislature, nothing was followed. One that is very clear was everybody who was a part of the TRC admitted to being a part of bringing civil conflict to Liberia should not be allowed to go public office going forward. That one was scratched right off the bat because the legislative branch of government sat there and allowed Madam Erling, who was one of the key contributors to our war, to run for a second term, thereby making the whole TRC recommendation not involved. Senator Prince White Johnson is another one who I think he has run since the TRC made those recommendations. Folks argue that the reason why the legislature allowed the TRC mandate to be thrown out, or I don't want to say disavowed, but to not be followed, was simply because under Madam Ellen, she gave them the free will to negotiate their own salary. It was at this point that salary structure they have now, where they pay themselves all this exorbitant amount of money, was negotiated because they had to meet the executive and the legislative branch of government had to, reconcile with one another. You scratch my back, I scratch your back. The losers of that particular deal was the Liberian people. In all of these dealings, the Liberian people continue to be the victims. We saw another instance where there was charges brought against Kabina Mohammed Jaine, and Jaine was from the judicial branch of government. Granted, these guys, the few representatives brought charges against him. They went through with their charges and they impeached Jaine. That case, some of us were on the side of the legislature and said, well, we had both opposition and ruling party officials in those horses, and they listen to testimonies. And if they form Mr. Jaina guilty, then we can accept that he was guilty because he went through the proper channels. A lot of people thought it was politically motivated, but people who understood constitutional law argue that impeachment was in fact a political process. We have seen in recent times that the ECOWAS court has came back and said the whole process against China was one that was made up and that was illegal. There is twofold to that argument. The ECOWAS court cannot tell Liberia what's legal and illegal in our own country. But then again, there are Liberians themselves who have made the same argument over and over and again. So, in these two instances I have given, not only has the legislature failed to do what they have voted for by the Liberian people, but they went outside and did things that benefited them to the detriment of Liberian people. The whole cabinet impeachment process, a lot of folks argue, is one that have greatly weakened the judicial branch of government. I don't want to say, this is a fact, but we from Liberia, you go to Liberia, the only branch of government that ain't got no respect whatsoever is that judicial branch of government. Nobody respect police people. When they say, oh, you will go to court, the people who get money, they don't even go to court. And it's because the executive and especially the legislative branch of government has not given the judicial branch the protection and the power they would need to be equally on par with the other two branches of government. These guys are the ones who have been sidelining everything. It is the executive and the legislative branch that has always connived to keep our country where it is. So, I want us to get into a conversation with the other guys on the line, but I just wanted to stress these 2 points. Not only are the guys not living up to legislation they passed themselves, like my colleague Jala mentioned, there is no insight. They talk about free press or freedom of information act. There is no information anywhere. And they have failed in their duties to do oversight and to be that people that balances the power between the three branches of government. I don't know. I was sending back to Jala if he has, leeway for the other guys.
Mr. Gray, can we get your thought on this legislative politics in Liberia? How is it impacting our country growth and development?
Yeah, thank you. And good evening, everyone. You see, you guys have made a lot of great points, and it was mind blowing to me. But let me just lay a foundation quickly, that so that our audience will understand the angle from which I'm coming from. We are aware that we have actually three branches of government. If you've been through grammar school, you understand that you have the legislature, the executive, and the judiciary. You see, all of these three branches of government, they all have what we call they have a constitutional function and duty and responsibility they owe to the Liberian people. So there is what I call a constitutional arrangement, like my colleague was alluding to, that actually provides for check and balances of power among the three branches, and that is key. So I heard Mr. Jala saying something about our legislature are afraid to speak on issues affecting our people. You see, if for me, if you have people that are representing us, but they have the mindset that they are afraid to speak on issues affecting our people, affecting us, because the president will get mad at him or her, for me, it's mind-blowing. It is absolutely mind-blowing. You see, the legislature is not called or cannot be recalled by the executive, by the president. They are not appointed officials. The legislature is actually elected just like the president, just like the executive. They are elected officials, and they need to understand this. If you're elected, you cannot be called by the executive. if you are to ever be recalled, absolutely, if you are ever to be recalled, it will be by your people based on some sort of voting arrangement and so forth like that. That's how you are recalled. So I'm saying from my end, we just need our legislature to be more audacious, to be more transparent, to be more open, so that like the Liberian people can absolutely know what is going on at the legislature and understand these things. You spoke of the legislature not having a fitting website. That is ridiculous. Because you see, website actually produces information to share with the public. You talk about the information, the out of information law, or so forth like that. We don't have a website. If we don't have a website, I mean, we don't want to provide information to our constituents. We don't want to update them. So we choose not to have a website. That is a problem. That is a problem. So you see, when you look at legislature around the world, for me, they strive to actually fulfill three important functions, and that is to represent the representation of their people and lawmaking, and lastly, which I think this is one of the most essential one. I think Mokra mentioned that is oversight. Oversight is one of the most important functions. I'm not saying the rest are not though, because why? Oversight is key to me. Because with oversight, you now have the ability to watch, to keep an eye on the executive branch, which is key. If you guys will remember, in 2014, there was this there was what we call the code of conduct that was enacted into law. If you remember that very well, guys, it was enacted in 2014 under the Allen administration, actually. And the essence of that code of conduct was to guide all public officials and employees in order to demonstrate integrity and also confidence in the public sector. And the code of conduct actually was actually seeking to disallow and ban public official appointed by the president from participating in elections and other kind of stuff like that. But the point here is this. We had this enacted into law since 2014. Now, that says it has been mandated by the president to actually appoint an ordinance to implement the code of conduct based on that enactment since 2014. Do you know that from that time to now, it was enacted under the early administration to never appointed anyone to serve in that position? Now we are in the judge, we are administration. No one has been appointed to even serve that position. So I was watching the news the other day, and luckily I heard Representative Alexander Poor from River G County. I'm not sure which district he came from, but he sent a communication to Plenary, actually, seeking approval to invite the president of the Republic of Liberia as to state a reason why up to this time he have not appointed anybody in that position to ensure adherence of the code of conduct. So honestly speaking, I just want to applaud him for even taking that stand, because this is something that has been going on since 2014. No matter what, you see public officials doing things that they are not supposed to be doing because we don't have anybody in that office that those cases will be reported to their address. Those are some of the concerns. Those are things that our legislature, that is one of the key role of oversight. When the president, when the executive is not doing what it's supposed to do, they have the full function to invite the executive to answer. Can you imagine since 2014? That is when we got people leaving our office as an appointed official. They can go canvass, they can go campaign. That is illegal. That is wrong. According to that, according to the code of conduct, that is wrong. When they said that our legislature is going to step up, I want to tip my hat up to that young man, that honorable man who stood up and said, hey, we need to invite the executive to answer a question. Why? Since 2014. It is a problem, my brother. And we need more eyes opening in the legislature.
Absolutely, Mr. Gray. You just made the point, and you made a lot of powerful points. And as this show go along, we know there will be a lot of concerns and points that will be coming in, especially from our audience. But Mr. Dennis, this is
Gentlemen,
So,
before you go through, I think we got a call coming through.
yeah, somebody calling me.
Do you guys want me to take the call?
Yeah, before the call, Mr. Dene will come in later. Mr. Dene, put
Hello,
your
can you
loud.
know where you calling from, please?
Yeah.
Hey, what's up, guys? My name is Ernest Toure.
Hi, Mr. Toure. How you doing? Can you just state your point, please?
Yeah, I just want to say thanks to you guys, for the topic. I think the young Liberia needs this kind of exciting conversation to actually, to be able to make a better decision. I actually go by the name of Smile Survival. A Smile Undocumented Tour on Facebook, and I like how you guys are engaging these topics, right? But one thing we have to understand that we should not take from under our eyesight is the fact that the African politics, specifically drawing our microscope under the Liberian society, the African politics is being built and surrounded by the president, right? So what happens is in Liberia is that most time a person who just has the ambition to become a leader or president will solicit ideas from other people who he or she thinks are influential to make that dream or go further, right? Now, in most cases, if not all, they either have some international contact that the locals who are on ground who don't have the ability to get in touch with those contacts, or they have money to buy the will of those people that elect them to become president, right? So the president has a social obligation to these people who made him or her president, because he or she knows that it was these people that made her to be. And at the end of the day, if these people turn their back away from him or her, she or her has the stand a chance of losing their job. And at the same time, the same people that put them there also understands that this man has money to influence decisions in the community, or he has a contact to influence certain decisions. So the power has been shifted now from them, and knowing their own power that they have that made this person their leader, and I got it all ignorantly giving this person all authority, seizing off all source of accountability, seizing all source of you know what, we made you by constitution, we can take it up. So that power has been invested or has been invested in the president, so he or she becomes the sole dictator as to the affairs of the country. And most often, leaders who don't have the far-sighted ideas to make a better change in such a society, they're wrong with that, knowing that the people are toothless bulldogs. They put me here, but they don't have nothing, they don't have influence, so I will do what they want. Back to this whole thing about legislation. I was in Liberia all my life, like most of you here. I came in America when I was 9 years old. Some of you came older than me or younger than me, but I came when I was 29 years old. Now, when I came to this country, first of all, back to what one of your colleagues said, the President Sharif and the likes of Taylor and other people, they stole some of us our future. If you're 35 or you're 40-year-old man and you live in Liberia, the Liberian people, those people stole your future. They stole your childhood, they stole your innocence as a child. Those basic needs that you're supposed to have, they stole it, right? So these same people, I was in Liberia when President Sharif became president, and coherence used money, so-called international content. One the same thing that came around and bit us in the toe with Josh Ria thing versus of football style. And it's not to criticize Josh Ria, I'm just laying all this. Because the first she had contact, she had money, she came, she used that same influence, and guess what happened? She was able to manipulate legislation in the House that took out 2 sitting speakers. Nobody had the audacity to speak out to her and say, hey, Madam President, this is what you did. This is wrong. This is the rule of law here. So if you notice Liberian President Sharif time, and President Sharif was domestically unpopular, internationally popular. In the case of George Weah regime, George Weah was and it is somehow still domestically popular, and somewhere, somehow internationally unpopular, right? So at the end of the day, this problem has to do with lower self-esteem.
Hmm.
The leader have the power in the legislature, but they don't know the power they have, and the gullibility that surrounds the librarian. Librarian leaders are people who do things because they want to do it, and you ask them, okay, who will stop you? If I left from here right now, I went to Liberia with you. If I had a brother or friend as a police officer, right? Only because this man's a police officer, you can get to sit in the car. He can get to sit in the car just when he got his police uniform, his badge on, and you have beer in that car, alcohol in that car, king in that car, and you guys will pass every police station or depot or checkpoint only because there's somebody that's identified to be a police officer in that car. So we don't even like ourselves.
Okay.
We don't even like ourselves. We have a moral, social, cultural dysfunction that we may not even experience any change to until the leaders who put in power, the legislature and the Senate, decide, say, you know what, enough is enough. Until then, the president will always rule Liberia. The leaders will always do what they're supposed to do, bro.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much for your comment. Well taken.
Thanks, sir.
All right.
You are always welcome on the show. Mr. Dennis, once again, we will get a talk on this issue, how our legislature can be impactful in the growth and development of our.
Yeah, as you guys have all mentioned, I think one of the problems we have, especially with our people due to illiteracy, our legislators are not even educating their constituents on the functions of their positions. So for that reason, people will elect them for the 6 years or the 9 years, and it will just be the only time you're going to see them when they come back to do another 9 years after another 9 years. But as you guys stated, the 3 rules of a legislature to represent, that means you make sure when you get to the house, the interests of your people should be your priority. You got to legislate. You got to make sure the laws that are imparted or laws that are implemented by the executive and judiciary represent your people and make sure that it will go down well with your constituents. The oversight, make sure you put pressure on the executive and judiciary. These people make a decision by themselves and you're there representing the people and you're not even saying anything. The president said, for the example, the guy, what's the name, that guy with the high name, the Nigerian guy. I didn't know Darren said the guy rapped the Liberian judiciary for I don't know how many years. And it's true. They men get a fake document acting like a citizen and now a citizen. So as a legislature, you should be over there representing your people, make sure these kind of situations don't happen. What I did was I went to get the functions of our legislature from my own constitution, from the 1980 constitution. And there are a few points that I look at. Appropriate funds for expenditure by the national government and other national states organs. The building of roads, hospitals, schools, constructing bridges, and helping to create jobs. You don't have to do them, but you can appropriate funds. And when you send it to the executive, when they see it, if it makes a lot of sense, it will be implemented. When our official gets sick, they take them all the way to either Ghana, Ivory Coast, or whatever country it is. But when these guys going to appropriate for to build out decent hospitals, we don't have to take them all the way over there. If we get roads to communicate between the hinterland and the cities, people don't want to live in the cities. They want to live in the hinterland because some people are good agriculture. Another thing I look at again is providing security for Liberian people. The legislature are not even providing security for their own constituent. After they get elected, they get in the house, they think they owe responsibility to the party for which they got elected. If District 8 vote you in office, like Akara Grade, he think he owe his responsibility to CDC. No, Grade. District 8 voted you in office. Your duties and responsibilities should be focused on District 8. But they only listen to what the president said or what the president wanted to do and what they do. Not only for Coach Gray, previous lawmakers that we've been saying, the Ellington, the Town, Todman Town, They all been doing the same things. They're not helping the Liberian people. If these guys are working tirelessly to seek the interest of their district or the Liberian people, a lot of progress will be made. Come on, example in Kenya, the president, in collaboration with all his lawmakers, the president took 80% pay cut for the coronavirus situation here in the vice president. The lawmakers took, I think, 15 to 20% pay cut. They're making it 7,000 a month. And only doing it because of the pandemic. After the pandemic, they will go back to plenary and decide what will be their salary. The lawmakers came together, I think a couple of years back, and agreed that Kenya need a mall. Kenya is one of the biggest malls right now in Central Africa. But our lawmakers, instead of helping, voicing the interests of the Liberian people in the House, they only go there 2 days a week and just pass bills that concerning money for their own self-aggrandizement. Look at our school. The president was so frustrated when he went to the schools. Deplorable. And there's a guy over there, said he's the chairman on Ways and Means Committee, whatever it is. They got all these committees in the House. Committee on Ways and Means and Finance. What is function? I don't think he even know his function.
Come on, father.
They're just there to sign for money. The Committee on Gender, Equity, and Child Development. Who controls the committee? The rape cases like bro is bad. Children in the street, selling, child labor. But you still got somebody here taking all this money, but not doing anything. Riding the same car, driving on the same street, and see these kids on the street, not even helping them. You see child getting raped. When they look at the other guy that went to court for raping. They may tell him, if from the police people and tell him he will not be guilty after he raped a 13-year-old. Because why? He got somebody in the house that going to pick him out and say, oh, that my family, they're getting out. The laws they implemented for this, executive judiciary, you should be there and say, no, I got to watch these laws. The laws not benefiting my people, we don't want it. They're not doing all that. But we still got people on these committees and they say they represent the Liberian people. No, they're just taking the Liberian people money. They're not doing nothing for the Liberian people. Our lawmakers can recalibrate. They got to go back. If they can read Article 34 of the Liberian Constitution, there's an article that represents the defending. But they're not reading it. They only go when you let them, that's it. My friend from what I've been looking down, Abu. Abu can tell you when last time he didn't take the thing to read it. But he's a lawmaker. What kind of law have you passed? We don't know. When you ask him to say, I signed so many concessions. Oh, so you go in there to sign, but you can't read what he ask you to sign. I mean, to sign. You just go there and say, sign, you sign. Why you know you're signing? Come on, man. I mean, we got to find a better solution. These guys, my own recommendation, they got to start reading. This I want to hold a book. They got to start reading it first. They got to start knowing their functions. They don't want to know their functions. Do not be adhering to anything the president said. You don't be adhering to the United Party. You don't be adhering to CDC. When the party elect you, on the party banner, we agree. But you still represent the people, not the party.
Yeah, but go ahead, Mr. Dennis. If I may just say something very quickly, guys. You see, when the most of our legislatures, most of them actually got elected because the president held their hand. So now they see that as an obligation. They see that as a responsibility to give back to the president. So whatever the president wants, instead of them thinking logically what is in the interest of their people, they say because the president left their hand and the people voted for them, they will give back to the president. Now, another thing I want to bring over here, which is very, very, like you said, these guys got a lot of money. They are taking huge salary. There are some cuts, but in West Africa, they are receiving one of the highest pay in terms of salary. I was just looking at something earlier on, and it was talking about how even the speaker, the speaker and every representative have a staffing list, right? They got Like I'm just going to go through this quickly with you guys. They got a staffing list for the deputy speaker. He got chief of staff. He got one chief of staff. He got army assistant. He got two army assistant. He got one special assistant. He got one appointment secretary. He got one executive secretary. He got one secretary. He got one press secretary. He got two receptionists. He got three page. He got one memograph. He got one desktop publisher. He got four security, and then lastly he has 3 yard boys. Now, here's the point I'm driving at, okay? And that also is inclusive towards each representative, okay? For the regular representative, the people representative, they might have two security. However, when a representative is being appointed to chair a committee, they have a separate set of staff too that I just listed on top of what they already have in the office. So they have those separate lists of staff again for security. What is the deputy speaker doing for security?
The people you let
What is he doing for security? You come from your house, you come to the legislature. So now you got 4 security for being a deputy speaker, and you got 4 security for serving on a committee. That's 8 security right there. What is going on? This is where all the monies are going, and these things need to be cut down. What do you have for security? So you got for security against your own people that elected you? Because what's the essence of the security if you're representing the people? I would say reasonably you got 2 security. That's understandable, but 4? And then when you serve on a committee again in the house, you got another 4? That's 8.
So you have 8.
So, Mr. Gray, I want to ask a question. Why I say that? Because recently they had the head of the Liberian Anti-Corruption Commission, the civil society were asking him to resign. I think he resigned. But why in the first place were he confirmed? And secondly, how making our judicial branch to look like? Because
corruption.
they are all judicial branch. So I want you guys to comment on that. Why is it that they had to confront them in the first place? That shows how corrupt they are.
It's corruption. That's true because he wasn't a citizen anyway. Since he started working in the Liberian government, it's just too bribery.
I want to comment on that a little bit.
Go ahead.
So what had happened was when President Weah won and took over, Kwame Wise is one of the, I think he's on the committee, the confirmation committee. So one of the things that he has said before was, this is a new government. They have come with their new ideas. Let us not prevent the president from hiring or appointing whoever he wants to appoint, so that we don't be the reason why his vision for this country does not succeed. So for us, what he thought they should do was to allow the preferments from the president to go through. The way in his mind, the way he thought about it was, hey, these people have been on the sidelines for 12 years. They have worked out their own modalities. They have a plan for how they want this government to go. Was that a good strategy? Was that not a good strategy? It's hard to tell. But when the government just got elected, we saw the amount of people that went through and got confirmed by the Senate. We had people who have been expelled from the University of Liberia that went through that Senate and got approved and got confirmed to work as ministrates as deputy for science and research. The UL is Liberia's highest institution of learning. If an individual is kicked out of the UL and goes to the Senate and gets confirmed as somebody who is going to be the director of agriculture for science and research, that tells you everything you need to know about the thought process of our legislative body. I don't think these guys, the bottom line is, I don't think they're serious about what their responsibilities are to the Liberian people. And every time there are two people who I'm really familiar with, Dillon and Akaras, those are my friends. We go back and forth a lot. I respect them a whole lot. I like the fact that they value my opinion enough to respond to me every time I make a comment that concerns them. But the vibes I get from these folks is even at the level of this legislature, it is still us versus them. Everything is strictly along party lines. I get it. That's politics. That's how it is everywhere. But at least if we were disagreeing on ideology, it makes sense. If I'm just disagreeing with you because you are sedition, then it doesn't make any sense at all. Because for me to disagree, I must have a disagreement with the idea that you are espousing. If you haven't even said anything, I just say, "Oh, I mean, a foolish man," then we're not. I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just being negative when it comes to you. That's what we see. I'm seeing a lot of time with our legislative body is the fact that these guys are not. For if we say that they're not doing what the Constitution says, is maybe it doesn't get to the Liberian people. What does the Constitution say? But if we had Minister Tuer went to the legislature, and while he was discussing budget and budgetary allocation, a lawmaker spoke out and said, "My man, what are you pay us?" So this is something where it was public, and the man's asking whether you will pay us. So this dude doesn't care about all of the line items in this budget that they are supposed to look at, but his focus is, man, when are we going to get paid? It seems like most time these guys are more about what part of this money is going to come to us, come to my office, than what are those allocations for those sectors that we care about. Because I've never heard anybody say, "Oh, the guy on the Committee for Agriculture did something." Because when they say, "Oh, there was this dude selling Liberian passport to people," blah blah blah, nobody heard anywhere that the Standing Committee, the Ways and Means Committee on International Relations or Foreign Affairs ever called somebody to say anything about it, or for them to say, "Oh, this is our finding," and whether they turn it over to the courts or anything. That's the problem with our country, is the fact that we're not there when you guys vote, but even after you vote, after you do all of this stuff, we don't see anything. The public does not see anything at all. When you working, you're not working? No, we only see them when they go to give somebody money, or I don't know what. Sometimes I get flustered about, do these guys take the responsibility of representing people seriously? Do any of you guys on the panel think these guys take the representing constituents as a serious matter? Have you seen anything by a lawmaker or that body as a whole that speaks to them meaning well for the people they represent?
You see, Mr. Sako, for me, legislature can only be centralized to democratization, or an example of democratization, if it is visible and it is accessible and accountable to the people, okay, who they represent. So we have seen a lot of instances. I think earlier on, Mr. Jara mentioned something that they don't even have a website, okay, or basic website that will publish information that the people they represent, that the citizens can view, can respond, ask questions if they are confused. But that leads me to say that people are actually trying to represent people at that level, not because they have the people at heart, not because they want to change or impact the lives of the people. It's because of what they actually get from being elected as a representative. Like I mentioned earlier, okay, That's one of the reasons you see people trying to get on committees and committee chair, vice chair, and member of the committee because of the accolade that
Prestigious.
comes with that. Okay, and I'm going to be very bold on this. I'm going to read this out quickly so you guys understand. Okay, for honorable members, okay, for honorable of the house, okay, he's entitled to a chief of staff, one chief of staff. Okay, just pay attention to this again. One chief of staff, one chief of office staff. Okay, one army assistant, special assistant, one special assistant, one executive secretary, one secretary, one filing clerk, one receptionist, one chauffeur, one page, one yard boy, one cook, two security, and one resource officer. Now, if he become a committee chairperson, that list that I just mentioned, that I just stated, is the exact thing, mimic, exact copy of that would be assigned to him as well. So if you look at that, it is double staffing because you're serving on a committee. Okay, so that's tell you that is double budgeting right there. That is you giving the representative, the honorable representative, an additional staffing for each of the lists that are listed because he's serving on a committee. So now that comes with the catch. So we can't be talking about the economy is struggling and there's no money and all that kind of stuff when we have those very things happening in the legislature. That is not being fiscally disciplined just on that level. I understand if you give the man a secretary and maybe two other persons to serve, since he's serving as a committee chairperson, but you're giving the man an entire list. You're giving him a driver too as well. You're giving him a yabo. He's performing the people work for which he was elected for. So why are you giving? If you're a committee chair, you need a driver when you already have your own driver in your office. Okay, that is mind-boggling. That is mind-boggling. We gotta stop that. We gotta be fiscally disciplined. And it start with us. It start with every Liberian citizen, but it also start with our representation. If you want to represent the people, you gotta be sincere. That's one of the reasons they don't want to create a website because now you're on an obligation to put these things on the website. That is why you don't want people to know how you which vote, which side you stand on when it comes to some critical issue that you are voting on. So you rather say yay and nay. No, nobody. Sometimes nobody say nothing, and they just say our part of the nay. No, we need to know every vote that counts on every major issue in the house. We need to know where you stand. Your people need to know where you stand. That is transparency in the fullest. You got to be accountable. Mr. Jala?
Thank you very much, Mr. Gray. You guys made a lot of great points. And one of the things that I think some of you guys will keep doing against the Liberian people is the way they conduct business in our country undermines a lot of things. Take for instance, the recent impeachment of Justice Janet has completely undermined the justice system of our country. You know, and it politicizes everything. I heard some people say, "Oh, everywhere that politics. Let's discuss innovation. Let's discuss what." But I can tell you for free, if the leader of that country don't conduct themselves properly, it will undermine investment. It will undermine wealth. It will undermine a lot of things. Like Dennis said, the Liberian legislature are key to driving development in our country by the way they conduct themselves. Number one, those guys are just self-centered. They're only concerned about themselves. They're only concerned about themselves. They're concerned about protecting themselves, protecting their image, protecting their wealth against the people's interests. And all these things keep them. All the guys are in the president's pocket. Imagine what we are talking about today. That means the president is the sole and absolute authority in the country. He can do anything. His decision can be checkmated. This is wrong. I think the legislature is there to make sure those things that the executive branch of government should do, they do it. They are also there to appropriate resources that will drive development effort. Now, are they following all they've been carrying out? No, they are not following up. As far as they're concerned, once they can appropriate what will benefit them, they don't care what the executive does. They don't care. And we are saying this is not about criticizing this. But what we're going to move forward. The way we're going to move forward is when the branches of government play their role as ensuring in the Liberian Constitution.
Yes. You see, let me just
go ahead, Gabriel.
Let me say something very quickly. You see, you guys mentioned something earlier, but this point just came to my mind that I have to say this. We sometimes hear a representative or senator build a school. You know, they build a school for the community. I think I got to say this. You know, and then when you see the school, you say, okay. My thing is, if the school is not good for your child or your children, right? It means it is not good for the Liberian people. You can't build a school that don't have the necessary resources in there. You take your children from there and send them overseas to go to school. You take them from the country and send them overseas to go to school. While the Liberian people sending their children to school and they don't even have a bench to send them. And we are there hearing the representatives say they're building schools, they're building roads that a car can't even go on. You see, to be honest, to be sincere and transparent in your leadership style, when you do something, you should want to live it. If I decide to build a school, I want my children to be in our school as an example that this school, that my heart is in this school, and I'll do everything to invest in this school so that everyone will benefit from the academia. I'm not going to build a school just for the less fortunate and then my kids overseas going to the best of school. Those are things the Liberian people should be open to. Where are your children going?
Is that a responsibility of their school? Is that a responsibility of their role? That's how they hide behind all the things that to corrupt. Is that a responsibility? The system is set up. They need to appropriate money for the school that are already in the country to be improved. Instead, you pay your private school because you want to make money and make morale. This is wrong. Because then you want to say something.
Yeah. The thing is, that's what I was saying the other day. You building school, you say you want to build, I don't know, 14 military hospital, whatever it is. Okay, we still got JFK, we got Cali Hospital, we got Phoebe, they're deplorable. Why you can't invest in them first? Let's get a cap, and when we're done with them, then we'll go to the next one. We say, okay, we need another hospital in this city. Then we'll build one there. But you left all the old hospitals that were there before you were born. You can't say, no, we don't, not going to deal with you guys. We're going to the new one. When I heard the lawmaker build a school, corruption at a higher level again. But we got all the MCSS school system, what is horrible. You go to G. Derrick Gibson, Nipo, Gion, taught me how. They put even get chairs to sit on. Like I was looking at Ellen doing her turn, and what the guy were getting paid, ridiculous. Basic salary, 175,000.
Wow.
Employee pay, 409,000. General allowance, 162,000. Special allowance, 72,000.
Wow.
Newspaper / books, 12,000. Foreign travel, 32,000. Domestic travel, 7,000. Telecom internet, 18,000. Home rental lease, 18. Car fuel, lubricant, 69. Fuel generator, 30. Vehicle repair, 24. Print publication, now they send and newspaper and books, 33,000. Other special materials, 66,000. What? Scholarship, 5,000. Entertainment, 12,000. Operating expenses, 61. Stationery, 9. Transport, 16. Machinery, other equipment, 14. 1.25 million.
Wow.
Making doing Ellington. But as for what they ever did with the 1.2 million, they can't even show one. How many corruption is at?
Go ahead. I just wanted to make it clear. I wanted to make it clear that the issue is an OS issue, though.
Yeah,
so let's understand that we're not attacking the alien government or the judge. We are government. We are attacking a system.
A bad system that we keep into. And we're trying to see what we can do it better before we leave.
Yeah, what our generation can make any change. Because if our generation don't do anything about it, I don't think any other generation would do anything.
Yeah.
You go in the house and you turn corrupt. I thought you were going to represent your people. You are representing the people outside. You are preaching to the word of God. Now you enter the house, now you turn to a corrupt person. When they call you reverend, you won't get the reverend title because you're signing deals you're supposed to sign. Reverend, now what they letter you for? But the thing is, our lawmakers don't have the interest of Liberian people who don't want to get there. As soon as they get over there, everything is done. Because my man Abu had an old restaurant. Abu had a big store. He had this in looking down. Now Abu a lawmaker. But then bet you Abu not even pass it. They put only be there for the 6 years, the 9 years, and everybody can benefit. And that would be it. We need a better actor. We gotta take this guy out and put better actors up there. The situation is bad. Like again, Kenya, I was reading about the people lawmakers. What they do is just say the representative, they got 250 lawmakers elected. All the 250, they might get up to like 100 or up to 110, 112 women who are elected by political parties and will send them to the house. They ain't gonna go past law. They're there for check and balance. And then we get 12 person again elected by the people. They're in there for check and balance on the legislature, what they're doing. So if you represent a constituent, so you probably get one person and one lady checking on you and see what you're doing. They can report back to the people. They put in a website. Our website might open. Our lawmakers don't have a website, so how will catch them? If you go to the Senate, they put out people, special people that are representing the workers, people with disability, the young people, and special interest people. So the lawmakers in Kenya are one of the most blamed lawmakers in Africa. And where PLO from? PLO said if you're giving ideas in Africa, they don't buy it. If you want to be elected, make sure you get money to buy a bag of rice. When they get rice, they will elect you into office, but they don't buy ideas. PLO ran 2 times his district. He didn't win. Some guy came from London, then win twice. They say, no, let me leave Kenya politics. Let me go around be a motivational speaker. And PLO start going around and speaking. The message they put up by ideas in Africa. He said the Liberian legislature, they can loot. The other friend is stealing. But in Liberia, they put loot. So they want a small country where you see the money they can take from the people you don't believe it. They don't even pass any laws. Up to now, we still reading the constitution. It can't even be amended. Same thing still in it. When they amend the constitution, we got to know, okay, we got a new constitution now. They can't do it because the people, they all over there just for the money. Drive big cars and move around. You get 17 lawmakers residing in Monserrato, plus the mayor. Do you have governors there? Maybe the president is everything. So the entire executive living in Monserrato is 17 lawmakers, the mayor, and Monserrato is still dirty.
Wow.
It's still dirty. The hospital is deplorable. The schools are deplorable. The citizens are going through hardship. But what is 17 lawmakers doing? I bet you can see 2 lawmakers living in one district, and the roads going to the house is messed up. But they will not fix it because they want the president to fix it. But they know they can appropriate funds for their place to be fixed. But because they want the money to go to their pocket, they don't care. And that is crazy, bro. Very crazy. 17 lawmakers in Monserrato.
I mean, it's so sad. So sad. Yeah, my point, come in. You got a point. Come in.
So I was reading something here, something from the Constitution, Article 30B. It says for citizens of Liberia who meet the following qualification are eligible to become members of the legislature. One there says you must be domiciled in the country or constituencies to be represented not less than 1 year prior to the time of the election and be a tax payer. So not just living there, it says you must be domiciled for one, at least no, not less than 1 year prior to the time of the election, and be a taxpayer. And
That's good. That is so good. You know, it's so good we have a tax practitioner sitting over here, Mr. Jama. You be engaging
so,
with client customers, so you talk about
yeah, I won't waste time to come in, but before he comes in, the deal here is it says and be a taxpayer. These guys are the ones who are supposed to be the ones who wrote the law, or okay, interpret the law, or whatever it is. When we use and, it means it's a must.
that.
It's
Hand
not
in hand,
something where I say
you
maybe
out.
the person pay, yeah, because it says you should domicile in the country or constituency. So there is a provision for you to live in Morovia and run for
Mhm.
district in Grand Crew. I understand that part, but it says you must be a taxpayer. I so here is the place where now the issue with lack of information is such that we are not able to figure out something as simple as determining whether these guys declare their asset is a huge deal in bro. Can you imagine for you to say you won't go find out if they can pay taxes? It will be Donald Trump. To find out the tax, we're going to be Western Trump.
How you get it?
So
How you
this
get
is
it?
one question I'm going to take to Facebook to take to my friends who are in the house, because I know about 10 or 15 of them in the house, to find out whether they file taxes. And I think this is something that we should be able to reach out to the Liberia Revenue Authority and
Yeah.
find out if these people file taxes before they were allowed to run. And it's for a year. Not just file taxes for 1 month, for a year, for not less than a year.
Until they breach that part of the Constitution, until they read that part.
That is good. That is good.
Mr. Sako, I will speak to that because by that time I was working with the Liberian Revenue Authority.
Okay.
Like you said, what does I normally pay for to be eligible to run is just for the property taxes, and then the election commission will just clear them and make them eligible to run. Now,
They pay
I don't
what?
think
Property taxes?
Yeah, they just pay for
yeah,
that
their
property.
property taxes, their property, you know.
Every other
Then
thing they
they
just and they
clear them to run.
So
But here
the thing is, the question is, it's not just paying. Are you paying this in a lump sum, or are you paying it over a period of
a
time?
lump sum.
That's a
That's a
yeah,
problem. Because he wants to
corruption.
he pay a lump sum. No, he's not paying a lump sum. He's paying for his property. So if the property tax is $2, you're not paying $2 because you want to run, and then the other taxes is so come
Yeah.
long run, they cancel it out.
Retroactively, they compromise that and just pay
Wow.
the face value.
But that's what the constitution is saying though. 1 year,
With the tax to pay. That's not what the
1 year.
is saying. The are saying you must be a taxpayer. Not just, there are taxes that are applicable to you. If you sign the contract, you are working, you're doing business, you're doing other transactions. Those transactions must be taxable. But because of this thing, the guys who made their way to the legislature in a corrupt manner to go there. And these are some of the things we're saying here today.
The legislature should be the wise guy.
They should be the one. If we want to deal with corruption, at the first place we need to start looking at.
Yeah, them.
Those guys are very corrupt, and I will say it clear. They
Very.
even will confront people because they took, blue brown envelope. They confront people on the best.
The president say, I send you to y'all. They'll pass them. Let me pass them. I say, you go there. You'll pass.
And the president was absolutely right on that point. He
right.
appoints and you confirm. So if you confirm the errors from your end,
Everything.
what is the yardstick you are using to confirm? Are they doing their due diligence?
So I'm trying.
I mentioned the yardstick, the envelope.
The envelope is a yardstick. But you know what? I tip my cap off to Senator DeLong, who resurrected the issue of the LACC, boss. He brought that to the floor, stating that there was some credible information that they received after he was confirmed. So now it tells us now that when you are even confirmed and other credible sources of information surface, they can bring you back and take a vote of no confidence.
That would be great.
You see, they have that well, but they haven't been doing that.
Have they made use of that before? Do you have any record that they have made use of people who don't live up to what the confirmation requires?
No, not that I know of, but that is part of their oversight responsibility. You can appoint, you can confirm somebody, and then when other information surface, you can revisit. Yes, because it means the person lie on the oath. You gotta understand you're on the oath during confirmation. So whatever you say to us, we accept it on the oath and we confirm you. But when something comes contrary to what you said, we not can take a vote on no confidence. That is the power of the legislature. Can you imagine that? And you got that gavel in your hand.
They have power. They really do have power.
Unless they don't have the will to even go back on any of their confirmation, even if there were credible information showing contradiction to change.
You will have to give the brown envelope back.
That's not possible. The Liberian people need to open their eyes this time around. We appreciate the way we are, itself, in the legislature by exposing their salary, exposing a lot of things, and trying to be people centered. I think if we have 4 or 5 or even 10 of that, they don't order, they can shake that whole place. We just hope that he remain on that same path, people center, and continue to address the issues that affect the Liberian people and yearn for a better life for our people. But our people too need to open their eyes. They need to stop. What small money that we giving you just for a time. It wasn't lasting for a moment. What we're saying here is when you vote people into office, their ascendancy into that office, the action they will take there has the propensity to impact your life and the life of the generation after before you. That's what we're saying. Not just the one day eating. Our people need to look into who they vote into that place.
Mr. Jala, I asked a student, a kid, I think he's in the 5th grade or 6th grade in Liberia. And I asked him, I said, what do you want to become when you graduate high school? And he said, I want to become a representative. So when he said that,
we even never thought about being even in politics when we were in high school.
It has become a career now because they see it has.
Will be scientist, will be this, but for kid now they see I'm being representative. The people see the people there now. You see all of them all yesterday, man, right? Big car.
Yeah, they make that light, and I don't have light. They make that light. They make out 2 cars. I don't have light, so that's a good career now.
You see all bunch of securities.
I want to say that those guys are also upgrading to the executive because the executive will have to have the most often said to even get things done. Because they are concerned, they are my money.
Yeah, because instead of having the oversight on the judiciary and executive, they have it on them. Because okay, they gotta need money. You know what? They're calling to a list session. Everybody's on New Your son.
I think they are impeding.
Let me tell you. Let me tell you. I may have my own concern with the executive, but in actuality, the legislature has so much power. You see, but if you don't know what your functions and your responsibility are, you can't exercise it.
True.
So you got a lot of people who say they're representing the people elected them there, but you know what they're doing? They see themselves as appointed official. So when you see yourself as an appointed official rather than elected official, then you will act like an appointed official. You think like you can be recalled by the president. So you are afraid to say anything, you're afraid to discuss the issue that will benefit your people because you're afraid that the president will be mad at you. Why are you concerned about that? Did the people elect you over there to be concerned about the president being mad at you or to seek their interests?
I think you guys need to go to school.
In my mind, Dennis, in my mind, I think President Weah could even do better if he had a good legislature. But I think some of the demand that on his back will be because of the greediness. Look, I can want that. Oh, Mr. President, you want to do your development, but now I want this, that, go on. How can we have people's representatives being better driven? This is wrong. Like say about the Kenyan lawmaker. Can you do that to Julia Malema from South Africa?
Beg you. Give me
Yeah, you can. In fact, some of my friends are in our house. When you talk to them, they say, "My man, when you talk to people, I recognize you." If you are voted as a lawmaker, people don't recognize you to talk. You got a media. The media is the voice of everybody. As you continue to put things up that have the dialogue, they don't become popular with the people. Who told you the Senate wanted to get down in the audience?
But we got people. We have people who are misusing the media, and when the media try to get some credible information, when all they do is they just insult the president. You know, they can't express himself.
That's wrong.
You got to respect the office of the presidency. You know.
I'm calling you to Malema. Malema said Jacob Zuma cannot speak to Parliament. They say why? He said he was caught. He built a house in Hong Kong.
Yeah.
20 million. They did a background. Yeah, he built a house, and our corruption money he took. So Malema, the horse is a clean horse. When you can steal, you're not talking yet. You go sit down in your office and talk there as a president, but in the parliament, you're not talking. That
Wow.
EFF manager the stool right near what the president was telling. They didn't even get in the chain. Oh no, on a microphone. The speaker thought the minister, the president not speaking in our parliament.
Wow.
Well, corruption. Oh, the people, man. The people there, they know the reason.
The man said the president be a wife.
Yeah.
Malema, he said because the man be a wife, the man don't have the moral ground to even stand and speak to them.
Because the people,
the legislature can put a standard high if they want to. They have the power.
The people have power.
They have the power, but they sit there
they didn't know the function of it.
and sell themselves. When they finish selling themselves, then they want Alex. When they come offer to the people, they get a whole lot of food with cash. Small guys, they just want to
Oh, man, who you gonna call?
You know what I'm saying? Nobody will have that power.
No, we are running out of time.
I know.
Yeah, go ahead, man.
We have to watch our clock. We are running out of time, so
yeah,
maybe we should try to come up with concluding statements now. For me,
okay. I will start with you.
Just going. Yeah. So for me, we have levied a lot of criticisms against the legislature. And this may be just based on the fact that we don't have the information that we need to know what they're doing. And I don't know that there are people in Liberia among the everyday Liberians that have more information from that house than we do, because we are people who are actively involved and we follow the news. I heard you list all of these guys. Oh, when the man become speaker, then they gave him all of these bodies. Are these the same people that are complaining that they don't get paid? So it's kind of a little. It's hard to understand their structure there. I heard my buddy Akara say, "Oh, there are two kids who play for Monserrato that he was going to put on his payroll so that they will start getting paid." Is that the regular process? Do you just decide, oh, I will put a person on my payroll and pay them? I really don't understand what their structure is, since it seems a lot of the stuff, every time you try to talk to them, they say, oh, my man, this is not computer science. We're discussing politics. Okay, I'm not a politician, but being public servants, we need to know when you guys doing stuff, what does the book say, so that we can argue with you and say you are saying you are doing what is right or you're doing what is wrong. I think most of our criticism is going to be continuously based on the fact of no transparency, no accountability, nothing. We had to press Dillon last time why he took the 6,000. Then he said, oh, somebody will burn all the same move on top of the horse. I got to go pay for them to put it on top of the horse. We get all that part. We want you to be people with sympathy or empathy for the people. But if you stuck to the role of what a senator should be, and this is not just me creating Dylan alone, that's just everybody. I'm saying if you stick to what you're supposed to do for the people, you don't gotta go be giving people money on the street or facing the horses for them. Nobody want you to be the one who their children will see giving them money to buy them daily bread. Dignity in labor. People want to be able to work and get paid so that they will be able to take care of their own family. I think if the legislature are a group of men and women that desire to live by the book and let us know what they're supposed to be doing and how they're doing it, Liberia will be a better place for all of us.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Mr. Gray, your concluding
yeah.
statement.
For me, like I said earlier in my statement, is that let our representative be an example, not just to us, but to our generation. As to helping to impact the lives of the people they represent, and also be accountable. Accountability and transparency is very, very essential to uh, to that uh, uh, to that house of work, or as part of their functionality. So just like I mentioned earlier, with Representative Alexander Poor, who is also has communicated with plenary to bring the president for questioning as to the arguments, to ensure that there is someone who is serving in that position to open up the issue of the code of conduct, which is very, very key. We have to look at that, and I just want to encourage all of our representatives out there to support Representative Alexander Poor, who has written a communication to plenary. Because if we have the code of conduct, a lot of the things that we see happening during elections and stuff like that, those issues will be minimized and will be addressed by the appointed individual in that position. Like I said, since 2014 to now, nobody have been in that position. So we've been doing, our appointed officials have been doing everything and anything they want to do with impunity. For society to go forward, you have to have rules and regulations, and people have to abide by those rules and regulations. And those that are victim of those that violate those laws and regulations have to face consequences for those laws that were violated, including our officials as well. So on that note, I just want to sum my voice that will join him in that fight. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Gray. Mr. Dennis, your parting statement.
Yeah, the other thing is, as we said earlier, we want our lawmakers to represent their constituency. Let us seek the interests of the people. Let it legislate. Make sure the laws that are passed by the judiciary and the executive are well implemented, because these people look up to them. They elected them to do these kind of jobs. They ain't gonna put in there for them to take money and put in their pocket. And they have to make sure they gotta be a watchdog for the executive judiciary. Make sure you guys are doing the right thing and passing the right laws that will benefit and bring people, and not laws that will benefit them, because you represent a whole group of people. Not because we elected you for this district, mean that's all the story to it now. You represent a whole group of people. Their lives depends on you. You got to appropriate funds for the people to create jobs for these people to work. If you can't do that, they will always come to your house. Like Samuel 12 said the other time. So I don't know how he came up with that kind of regular statement. The reason why we're paying lawmakers this kind of money, because the people in the district can go to their houses and the men can pay their school fees and sponsor their children. Samuel 12, when you create jobs, you don't have to, nobody have to go to that man's house to go wait for him to wake up in the morning to collect money for school fees. So the best thing they do, they got to know their functions. And when they start reading the Constitution, they will know their function and they will do better.
Thank you very much, Mr. Dennis. Finally, what I would like to say in a brief statement is that our people need to be aware that the kind of leader we vote reflect the character of the nation. We got to be cognizant of who we vote for. And we shouldn't only see people acting like they love people during election. That should reflect their life prior to election and after election. Most of the people pretend to us. And it's about time now that we stop voting people who will only show up and show that they love people during election. Or else, Liberia not going to go nowhere if that house doesn't get improved. Liberia will not experience no development, no progress, because those guys will be the vampire sucking the blood of that country. And they have always been. Even Manaseli said that. And so we want to say thank you to our audience, and we want to say thank you to all of the hosts on this show. We expect another program next Tuesday. We invite all of you to tune in the next Tuesday program. And we say hats off to everybody, and thanks for your comment. Ladies and gentlemen, the show has finally come to an end. Thank you so very kindly.